English. I'm going to switch into English, and today I want to talk to you about eSports. So some of you have never heard about it. Some of you have heard about it, but don't believe it's going to last for long. So I'm going to try to demonstrate why you should care, like we at Coca-Cola care about eSports, and also explain to you how we approach it for a beverage company like us, as well as show you some example of a typical activation we have done the last 4 years. So my role at Coca-Cola is to lead the strategic framework globally for gaming and esports. And today I'm going to focus on esports, but we could have also an extended conversation about this power of digital entertainment. You're probably aware about, especially in Mexico, of the legacy of Coca-Cola in sports and leveraging the passion and building some connection with consumers through the lens of their passion points. FIFA World Cup, Olympics, Euro, Copa America, all the different angles that we took to connect with what they care about. So be present where they really enjoy it, be present where they want to give access to it, and also associate our product and at the core of a business to this passion point. When you think about today, we strongly believe that the people we most care about gaming now. These numbers are the total number of gamers globally. You can tell, it's a big community. It's a huge community, and especially in LATAM, as I said to the team yesterday at Coca-Cola, LATAM is the #1 growth for this industry of gaming. So it's not anymore about a startup or about like anticipating a wave. The wave is already there. The teens and young adults are playing, and if you compare this to the numbers of hours we spend playing gamings with the numbers of hours we spend watching TV, you'll be even more excited to listen to me in the next minute. So when you talk about gaming, you also compare it. And that's our role as advertisers, to define what is the best platform, what is the best way for us to connect with this audience. And industry-wise, you would be surprised to hear that globally, gaming is bigger than the combination of the music industry and the movie industry. And I'm sure it's a comparison that you're not used to have. We do that all the time. We try to anticipate what is the destination for you guys. So what is our role? I mean, we don't make games. How should we compete with Blizzard, Riot Games, Supercell, who invest billions in IPs? We don't want to compete with a $100,000 video game that will never last as long as these big properties. We just try to make the simple experience of drinking a Coca-Cola having an impact on this experience. We want to make this moment special. It could be by giving them access to a game, it could be to give them something special in the game, it could be to bring them to the competition of esports that we're going to talk in a minute. So this is the simple pleasure of Coca-Cola that you can find anywhere that we try to connect with this experience of gaming. And this is not new for us. Let me introduce you to just wait a minute. Thank you. This is the first ever time that a brand has created or partnered with a video game in the history. 1983. We call it Coke Wins. Some people call it Pepsi Invader. It's a sales director in Atlanta with a bottling conference with his partner, the bottler, wanted to excite them about what they call the soda war in 1980s. And he went to Atari in a typical Coca-Cola way. We love to partner. We love to collaborate with what is new, what is up. Atari was up. So he partnered with Atari and created this game. We can see a video just to realize the ambition of the game. Thank you. I think you're going to lose now. By the end, Coke wins. That's the most important one. So that was the first ever time, 1983. Can you imagine? Gaming was just at the beginning, and Coca-Cola was already part of this. 2007. First time that a brand revealed to a mainstream audience what is gaming. Super Bowl. which is kind of a Christmas party of advertising. When I was in Paris, I was not watching the Falcons losing. I was just watching the halftime show to see the ads. So we're going to show you how some creative minds from the advertising department for Coca-Cola added a twist to a game that is very famous to be gangsters, violence, and lots of things that usually Coca don't want to be associated with. Video, please.
Give a little love, and it all comes back to you. You're gonna be remembered for the things that you say and do. You give a little love, and it all comes back to you. You're gonna be remembered for the things that you say and do. You give a little love and it all comes back to you.
Yeah, pretty much. I prefer this Coke style of life. So that was the legacy, and that's just to demonstrate to you how much Coke has been involved since the beginning, this new passion point. So let's talk about eSports now. So when we did this partnership with Riot Games, probably like everybody was surprised. The community was surprised, the press was surprised, and we have been part of this moment of truth where the community become like open, public, and mainstream. This was the first time that a brand that is non-endemic. Non-endemic means not a keyboard, not a screen, not a headset, not something that is linked to the computer, actually something that is in the other categories of advertiser. First time that a brand makes such a global partnership with eSports. And we did it with League of Legends, which we're going to talk about is the biggest discipline of what we call eSports nowadays. But before we talk about that, I just want to make, to clarify a little bit what I mean by eSports. And probably there is probably one definition for eSports per person involved in eSports. So it's only my definition. You know already what is in the middle. The middle is exactly what is gaming for about 25 years. It's people using a hardware to connect to a screen to actively interact with the game. This is like casual gaming, this is computer gaming, this is console gaming. These have been there for about 25 years. This is the PlayStation, this is the Xbox, this is the Nintendo. This is all the game that we love to play in Mexico. I know FIFA is huge here. So these are casual gaming. This is a huge community, but just as a comparison, this is something that is now very mature. So we talk about 2 to 5% growth per year. The second one I want to talk about is mobile gaming. Again, I don't think I need to talk about it. Some people may have played sometimes on mobile here. We talk about Candy Crush. We talk about Clash Royale nowadays, which is very famous. Pokemon Go last year was the big thing. This is already still growing, 15 to 20% per year. Interesting is that this is very snackable, where people are used to play like 1 to 3 hours per day with console and PC gaming when they are big fans. Mobile is probably 5 to 15 minutes because you do it when you're on the commute, when you go to work, when you go to school, when you wait for classes. That's what you do as a break. Completely different behaviors. And that's why we define it as a different behaviors, is because as a brand, we want to associate ourselves to moments. And this consumption in moment is completely different. And then eSports. eSports is not competitive gaming from my point of view. Space Invader, 1981, they did a fantastic world championship in San Francisco. 2,000 kids traveled to there just to play video games and to know who is the best one. This is not eSports. eSports, from my point of view, is the connection between the trend of gaming, that is very mainstream and very popular, with a digital innovation, live streaming. The fact that anyone with one computer and a Wi-Fi can connect his screen when he's playing to the rest of the world. And if he's famous, he's very competitive, he's probably the best in the world, lots of people are going to watch him. We talk about 45 million people watching the one game for the finale of the World Championship of League of Legends. 45 million, you have to admit, numbers that people like the NBA are usually gathering for the big finals. So these numbers are important. That's why brands are excited, as we are. And it's also excited because it's much easier to be associated with eSports because it's just sports. So you get sponsors on the jersey, banners, like traditional sports. The way a fan expects brands to be involved is the same as in the other sports, the offline sports. All sports? No, I would not say that. We have much more difficulties if we want to be in PlayStation. If you are in Europe, or if you're in Mexico, and you want to have your brand integrated into the game called FIFA, you have to make a global deal. You can't do one country only, because the game is the same everywhere in the world. So to be in the game of FIFA is difficult. To be in the game of mobile is even harder. Why? Because the people who create these games probably makes more money than Coke. So they don't need brands, they do their business. I don't know if you know, but Supercell, who created Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, and Boom Beach, they have been acquired $10.8 billion 2 years ago. Just as a comparison, Star Wars has been acquired by $4.8 billion. So this is a big business. And this category of games, they don't really need brands. This is why esports is so important for brand advertisers. It's growing, it's very targeted for the people we care about, and it's also much more accessible than other type of games. So this is esports. Welcome to esports. You can see here some famous arena, Staples Center, where the Lakers are playing. You got referees. Guess what? If you got your headset and you do this, you can listen to the crowds that give you some advice on how to play. So the referee are checking that you keep your headset. You got people from ESPN and ABC that are joining the publishers to create content that match the standards of the best broadcasters, interviewers, casters, analysts. When you get 45 million people watching, you better do a good show. So this is esports. If you never see it, I'm going to show a video afterwards so that you can realize how it looks like, which is, for all the people here who have been working in sports for years, pretty similar. Just a different field. And a much younger audience. That's the two things. So let's give an example. I knew we had my colleagues here, so to make a comparison. League of Legends is a 5-player game, like basketball. So let's take this as a starting point. The rest will be exactly the same. The Lakers and the Sixers are called in the esports world TSM, Origin, Fnatic, Cloud9. All names that probably you don't know, but most of your teens and kids knows, because they are big franchise that people want to have jersey. People want to sign autographs from the best players. So this is exactly the same model with some conferences, Europe and US instead of West and East, but pretty much the same structure in terms of building the leagues and the structure for these sports. Some numbers. We talk about 250 million esports fans that watch a competition every week. 250 million. It's not a niche anymore. It's a niche for people who don't know it. It's huge. And what is very interesting, it's very global. So a brand like us can very easily, by connecting the dots with the right partnership, get exposure to all this audience at once. For example, for the big championship. Growth, the growth in terms of fans is double-digit, but the growth in terms of economy is much bigger. Fastest industry of entertainment nowadays. Growing faster than music streaming, growing faster than movie streaming, growing faster than almost anything in the entertainment industry. That is why we care. And also that's why I invite everyone here to consider it, because the fans is growing not faster as the price. So if you want to make the best results, you have to start considering it now, not in 3 years' time when the price will be so high. Just one word of the audience, which I know it's like, Coke is not investing 100% of our sponsorship into gaming and esports. This is perfect for male, young audience. So then we build complementary plans for the other type of audience with meals, with music, with movie, so that we have a portfolio approach on different brands, different audience. So this is not the solution to any marketing problem in the world. This is just esports. But it's pretty much already something great. Last thing I want to show you is an example. This is one event. It's happening in Berlin. It's the World Championship final, so kind of a Super Bowl of esports. Biggest sports is League of Legends. Biggest events of this competition is the World Finals. And I'm going to just say that this event was the biggest venue in Germany. The 15,000 tickets has been sold out in 6 minutes. Yes. We created viewing parties in 20 countries, in cinemas, for fans who are not able to travel to Berlin or didn't make the 6-minute challenge to be able to regroup. We had more than 20,000 people booking tickets to watch together in a cinema these events. You will see it. So please, video.
I'm here with eSports Weekly with Coca-Cola.
We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. A champion, that we defy. A soul rising on the few who rise up high. And we all fight
Stopping him now.
We love bubbles. Before I finish this with few thoughts about what is coming next, I just want to debunk some of the perception some people may have. Yes, there are 250 million people that wake up at 3 in the morning on Sunday to watch Korean playing video games. Yes, it's happening. Guess what? I did the same for the FIFA World Cup in Japan. Just the same. Different game. Okay? And I was not active. I was in my couch, drinking a Coke, watching some people lose the game, you know? We remember this game, don't worry. So I think it's all about you guys to define if you want to be in or not. And I have a lot of work to do internally to convince like C-level managers to consider it. I think the numbers are not the question, because the numbers are there. There's no other platforms on earth in terms of entertainment that targets better young demographics. The challenge is emotional. So I really invite you guys to consider what were your parents thinking about music in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s. You were listening to a type of music and they were saying that was evil. You remember that? So do you want to be part of rock and roll or not? That is it. This is the rock and roll of the digital generation. Just realize it, and please consider it at the level that it is today. What is next? I think, like everyone in this business, we know that FIFA is going to be big. FIFA is huge in terms of practice. As a video game, as a gaming, it's huge. 120 million players per year, 4 million per day. And about 50% of the teams in Mexico are playing this game. Challenge, nobody watched it yet. When I say nobody, it's not true. We talk about 50,000, 100,000 people watching. If you compare it to me streaming, it's great. If you compare it to League of Legends with 45 million, there's still a way to go. So EA, FIFA, partners like Coke, are all working now to structure the esports component of the FIFA competitive industry to elevate FIFA to the level of practice so that we can connect the dots. Why? Because, of course, for clubs, for fans, for mainstream audience, FIFA is the biggest potential to help people to make the first feet in the water. So that's what we do, and that's definitely the game that has the biggest potential and growing faster nowadays. Platform, of course. Today, the biggest success of esports is computer gaming. Some people say because it's like the best skills and everything. I don't believe it. I think it's because historically, the games were done for PC. But everybody has a smartphone now. So everybody's now working with people like Vainglory, like Clash Royale, games like that, to define and identify what will be the first mobile game to be successful on smartphone. So we try to see what is the future, but we know that's already the next big thing for us. Finally, broadcasters. I mean, there's a lot of discussion nowadays, TV versus Twitch. I know the Twitch people are here. They will share their point of view later, I'm sure. I'm really excited to see the TV broadcasters to bring their standards in terms of production. I don't think they will bring a lot broader audience, because that's probably the same fans that will transition to their bedroom, to the sofa, to watching a different screen. But I'm also very excited about the next one. The next one for me is Periscope, is Facebook, is people like Twitter that are now starting to acquire some rights to broadcast live some competition. Not only NFL, they also acquire now esports and building tools and product to do that. So now I'm late, so I'm going to leave you there. But I'm happy to have some discussion if you have any question today or later in the next 2 days. I feel like I'm really committed to help educate about esports, which is not the next big thing. It's already huge in Mexico. Thank you, guys.